Good morning, Australia, and good evening, America. Welcome back to Radio Toni, a conversation with Kez. This is the show for authors, by authors, and about authors, where we talk about your writing journey and what inspired you to write your book. Now, just a reminder, if you're listening live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, Payo is waiting online to send you all the connections and respond to your comments from the show today. Failing that, all the information will be on radiotoni.com. And a reminder that you can catch up on any shows that you missed on Binge TV Networks USA, and on the Toni TV channel app is on all LG, Roku, and Samsung smart TVs the worldwide, and launching soon, Hero Go TV, also across the US, will have Toni TV content for you to catch up on. This show is co-hosted by the gorgeous Kez Wickham St. George, who is the driver of her own creativity and her passion to inspire and nurture others to tell their stories. Her values are simple. When you touch a heart, you can change a life. And by encouraging to write or journal, her belief is that you will add value to your life and the lives of others. As I said, Kez is a #1 international best-selling author, and it is my absolute privilege to have her as my co-host on this show. She is also an author's mentor and an artist. You can see some of her work behind you in her background. She also co-hosts on Inspire Radio, Rockingham in Western Australia. And we have a gorgeous guest today, the beautiful CARI SCHUSTER, the author of How to Get Your Partner to Listen to You. CARI is a transformational and holistic coach. Isn't that a beautiful cover for a book? Sorry, I digress. Her heart's desire is to provide a sanctuary for you to come and breathe, encouraging you to take time to recognize your own magnificence and learn how to live it. So CARI was raised in a Christian home with beautiful, loving, nurturing, and supportive parents and 2 beautiful younger sisters. And she was incredibly grateful that this was her upbringing. After leaving school, CARI pursued a life as a custom designer, dressmaker for individuals, and began her own small business, which still runs today and which has been running for over 35 years. CARI married her first husband when she was 23 years old and had a certain perspective about life. And that was that the woman role was to be married, have kids, and the husband was to be the head of the home. I can identify with that because that was a similar upbringing for me. CARI's distorted perspective, which she thought was normal, I did too, set her up to allow her husband to rule over her, to give in to things that she did not sit right with her, and to submit to trying for children, even though she had no desire for them. It was not an equal partnership. As their life unfolded together and no children happened, their careers drew them apart. Their goals no longer aligned, and after 14 years, they decided to part amicably. After the separation, CARI moved back to South Australia, where her parents lived, and was taken under the arm of a Christian group, which she was involved with for some 14 years, and which she broke away from after the teachings started to make her feel uncomfortable. CARI then met and married her best friend and soulmate, Rodney. He came with 2 handsome sons who wonderful and have provided CARI and her husband with 8 grandchildren. And she started at that time to try and understand the programming of the mind and why people do what they do. A woman after my own heart. This study led CARI to be qualified in NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and and as a matrix therapies practitioner, life coach, and counselor, a school mentor for children, and a strong advocate and support for people taking responsibility for their own lives and choices. And it's with absolute pleasure that I welcome CARI to the show today. And because I've talked so much, I'm going to hand over to the gorgeous Kez. Welcome, CARI. Good morning, Kez.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, CARI.
So welcome.
Good morning, Kez. Thank you, Toni.
How are you? You look wonderful today.
Thank you. So
Beautiful.
do you. Colour. It's all about colour, isn't it?
Oh, yes. I've got black on today, but I've got bright red lipstick. How's that? So, look, I'm really interested in what you teach. And that's, I know what TLP is, but what is the matrix?
So matrix therapy is a form of timeline therapy where we go back into the past just in a very safe and meditative state and go back and speak with either the past self, whether it's the younger you or, whoever it's been in the past, and you speak with them and gain resources to move forward that are qualities that are strengthening, and then you come back into this moment as a fully integrated self through the process, and then you move forward with these resources and qualities in place. It's very empowering. It's actually quite a very quick process.
Absolutely.
Is it a form of hypnotherapy?
Kind of, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. It is kind of like that. It's a different thing again. Equally as amazing, and for the clearing and for letting go of emotional baggage and blockages.
It works.
I think everybody I know
subconscious mind. It's powerful. Why I'm so passionate about what CARI does is because I've used all NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and the matrix therapies to help in my own healing. And I know that when I got to a point and nothing else was working, it was those therapies that helped the most, because they work with the subconscious in a way that is really very gentle and very empowering. And I know many, many people have had wonderful results from those therapies in terms of their healing and moving them forward. Sorry, back to you, Kez.
That's all right. No, I agree. I had hypnotherapy many, many years ago to get over a form of grief, because I spent a year just sort of wandering around the house, and the doctor put me on antidepressants. Nobody knew what was wrong. My mum had died, and I didn't know how to handle it. And I was only a young mum of 30 with 4 children. And again, same position, husband ruled the house. And so, hypnotherapy certainly opened my eyes and made me grow as a person, and made me see that I wasn't the only one that was hurting. And that's when I got into a little bit of counselling myself, got trained as a motivationalist in New Zealand. So I think any of that therapy that can deal with the subconscious is absolutely amazing.
It really is, yes. And helpful, and it works. It works.
Yeah, it is. So
it does.
You have a manual. I've got it in front of me. I can't find the book, sorry, but the manual is with me. Welcome Your Relationship Journal Workshop. I've got that one here.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah. And I've been flicking through it, having a look. I love the way what you've done with it. And this comes with your book, doesn't it?
Well, it comes when you work with me, because I work with you through it. Yes.
Okay. So what inspired you to write the manual as well as the book?
For that process, because it's important to actually have something, not just a book. Sometimes it's nice to have a book like this, but if you've got a working in progress type manual, like a journal that you write in, your writing can actually does something inside of you as well as you're reading it. And you may never go back to it, but quite often as you're working through the process, you go, I see. If you don't write it down, quite just a bit like with what you're talking about, if you write in your journals, you can, that it's powerful what it can do for you. And so essentially that manual was for working with couples. I do it also with the one-on-one clients I do as well, but with working with couples, the two of them can actually look at what each other's doing, or they can share it in their own time. It's really special, and I found it very strengthening and empowering, and something to go back to, you know, if they have another hiccup along the way. It's something they've got somewhere to go back to, and they've written in it. It's not something that I've written or whatever.
Okay.
So,
Right. And so can anyone be coached to listen? That's the biggest thing in my world is being an author and being a mentor. I have to listen.
Yes.
So people have forgotten to listen.
They
listen to reply. They don't actually listen.
Exactly.
How do you find that?
Totally, I agree. Listening, I think, is probably one of the biggest messages I think we need to reinforce again in the world, because we've gotten very distracted. There is a lot of takeaway going on, and you know, these things are just in front of us all the time, and we're not actually focusing on this. In this moment I'm talking to Kez, in this moment I'm talking to my husband, in this moment I'm talking to my children. We don't put these down often enough. It's so consuming, and our heads are filled with knowledge and energies and just stuff going on all the time. How can we've got no space to listen? And I think one of the things that I've noticed is about timing, to be able to listen for the timing within yourself when you're able to talk with somebody, because that's very, very important. But also then not to have an agenda when you're wanting to listen to them, because if you, they're going to say that, or they're going to react that way, or those sort of things, that agenda can block anything and take their free will away, or their free choice away to respond if they've evolved a bit.
Yeah.
So,
an interesting point there is that one of my family has suddenly, over the years, is now totally deaf. And to have him listen to when you talk, you have to literally gain his attention and talk straight to his space.
yes.
Otherwise, there's no sound to him, and he has to watch your expressions. And I just find that when it first happened, I thought, what's going on? And then I learned the process of actually stopping and listen before I spoke, listening and watching, and I would call the word listening to his body language and his facial expressions, and that all comes in with the part of listening, doesn't it?
It totally does. Very, very important. And sometimes if you see, colour or it drain away from their face, or if they sort of start looking somewhere else, you've lost them already. Like, you've got to, if you're going to talk, then you've got to keep them captivated for that moment. But also when you're going to listen, also being able to really give all of yourself to them in that moment. Like, I'm here for you. I want to hear what you say. Even if the kids are running everywhere, it doesn't matter. It's about you and me in this moment.
I agree. Yeah, so when I watch the face change and he looks elsewhere, I know I've lost it completely.
It's done. Let's start again. Exactly.
CARI, is part of understanding and watching body language part and parcel of listening, like really listening to people?
It really
and
is.
if you notice a shift in body language, is there a tactic to bring their attention back to what you're talking about?
Yes. I like to pull them up in that way. As soon as I see it, I'd like to say, so could you just tell me what's going on in there right now? Like, what are you thinking at this second? Or what I noticed this, a change. What did that? Just let's explore that for a little bit. So that kind of that's a bit of a coaching type way of doing it, but I often use that just when I'm talking normally as well, just because you can see, I want to know what's going on in my husband's brain right in that second when he just took off.
I think we all have that problem.
Exactly.
So with the body language, it's just not watching the face, it's watching. Well, this is what I was taught in my when I was becoming a motivator. In the private school I was teaching it. It's the whole body. It's the shoulders. It's the jawline. It's the you can get the slump. When they slump in their chair, like just rabbiting on, and I've got no use for these words. So I used to, when I had my senior students in front of me, I was literally a radar, just watching their whole body react.
Yes.
And I just found it truly amazing. And I still do, actually, when I'm mentoring someone and I've got them on Zoom and I watch their attention flicker, and literally they've got one of these in front of them. Or they're watching, if I'm watching something else on the screen while they're Zooming with me. And I find myself getting really annoyed because they're not paying full attention to what. So why spend all that money on having me mentor them? And I just, how do you feel about that?
Exactly. It's irritating, probably because I know that listening is love. It's my message to the world. I know I've been given it. I feel very honoured to have been given it, and it fully resonates in me because to love somebody, to love ourselves first, but also to love somebody, you actually listen to them. And it does mean taking in what that means and looks like, body language, timing, how the tone of your voice, how you're going to interact with them, how you're going to listen to them with your eyes. All of these aspects, all the different aspects of listening are so important as we move forward. This world is in a lot of chaos, and we're going to need to listen to each other moving forward. Like, there is no other way that we're going to be able to sort this crap out. We're not going to be able to do this without listening to each other, not just each other, but our earth and our animals and our tree. Like, seriously, we've got so much to share and to hear from each other so that we can move forward in harmony to heal the earth and to heal each other. We need to listen to each other. Passionate, sorry. But that's how I feel. Like, it's just so strong.
Well, it's nice to see someone that's really passionate. Most of our interviewees are very passionate about their work, but when it comes to dealing with the human mind, it's very, very special, because you're dealing with the subconscious, which literally is like a soldier walking up and down saying, you can't go in here.
Exactly.
So it's very serious. It's serious work what you're doing, but it's also so necessary. I often say to my clients, have you heard me? And they go, yeah, but I know they haven't.
No, that's right. So in that instance, I've been saying to my clients, so tell me what you heard. Tell me what you've just received just now. Explain to me what you've received. And then if we're able to correct it or go, yep, you've got it. That's awesome. Let's move on.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed that with children. Sorry, I've just noticed that with children, especially teenagers. When you're talking to teenagers, bless them, to actually ask them to repeat back to you what you've just spoken, if you're in that conversation, just to hear what they say. It's amazing how they'll instantly come out of it, even though, they've been drawing or they're doing whatever they're doing. It's amazing how much they do take in. And I do find that's probably with the young minds, they can, in this generation seems to be that they can, but, we need to teach them as the wise women to be able to come in and to be able to do it with more than just, that, I heard you say that, and that's it, and then move on and they're still on their phone or whatever they're doing. We need to still bring in a wider perspective for them to understand that there's more to this, and that we've all got something to share. We're all learning from each other, and I'm learning from you as a teenager, and you're learning from me as an older woman. So, but we're all young women anyway.
Take your word for
you
it.
describe Carrie, you describe listening as an art form, the art of listening. What are the key components in the art of listening?
So in my book, I wrote some keys that were
Can you
very,
hold that lovely book up again, please, Carrie?
can.
It's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so happy with. I'm so actually very much in love with it, and you know, it's all pretty all the way through. It's got pretty pictures.
Beautiful.
Oh, look at that!
It's my sort of book, you know. I've it's just got lots of affirmations and things. There's even a workbook at the end, at the back, and so with the keys of timing, of setting your intention to listen is one of the aspects as well, because say for instance they're coming home from work, whichever partner coming home from work, and there's a feed going on out there, they need that time to come back in and settle before they launch into this next phase of their life. And so when you give them that space, then in yourself, you're setting an intention to listen to them when they're ready to come to you. When you set that intention, it's almost like there's an energy that is set there then, where they'll speak and then they'll want to know what you've done. They'll want to hear from you. So when we're aware, if we're going to even bother reading something like this, we're actually in the awareness position in our being, which means we're going to want to do some of the things that we can do to assist our relationships. And so timing is of the essence, then setting your intention to listen, then to have pure eye contact, focusing on the eyes. The other part of it is knowing their love language. So I don't know if you've heard of love languages.
Absolutely. It was one of my favorite.
Sorry.
It was one of my favorite books, one of the first like self-development books I ever read. Back when it was released.
It's a beautiful book. And it really, even though potentially we have all of them in some form, there's some stronger drivers within those languages that if you hone in on them and you feed like a bank balance, just keep depositing into those particular ones, it's actually going to be super helpful in how they respond. And I know, for instance, like I wrote in the book about my husband, Rodney, he's a visual learner. So I needed to draw a picture for him to recognise what I was actually saying. And so going, I want this, I want that, and explaining, he wasn't getting it until I drew a picture. He's just going, oh, yeah, that looks awesome. Let's do that. So that took a while. It took, it was like, why didn't I get it? It took a while for me to go through that process to realise, okay, he's a visual learner, firstly, but his love language is actually like quality time to sit and talk it out with him and help him to understand. All the while, the acts of service is another aspect to the 5 languages. And I've made sure all the tea was done. I've got a cup of tea. I've set my intention. I've set up the moment so that we can actually have this conversation, because I've just realised I've got to draw a picture for him. So I need his full attention right now. And so with him, it's so awesome to be able to learn these things just, on your journey. Just learn your things on the way and be okay about learning them, not going, oh, I should have worked that out. None of that. Just, okay, I've got it. Thank you. Now I know how to talk with you. I know how you're going to listen to me. So that's perfect.
Mari, do you think that lots of men are visual? Like, I'm just thinking about my own husband.
So, yes.
And he actually, I remember him actually drawing a pyramid of, I won't mention his name on air, but his needs. And so he had this little pyramid on the fridge that said food and shelter down here. And then he actually, went through what was most important to him. And I'm like, gee, maybe I should do that for him. So he did that for me in explaining that concept. I'm thinking, oh my God, I think I should be using my fridge to do visuals more often.
Exactly.
Like a whiteboard.
Totally.
I use whiteboard markers on the fridge all the time. So anything that's important, because we're always going to the fridge, I've got whiteboard markers in the drawer next to the fridge. And that's where I put the things that I've got to remember, order gas, pay electricity, the boring things. But I'm just thinking, diagram on the fridge, that would work.
Exactly. And another key with that is that you'll find that the people who actually are looking for that interaction will do it the way they want it. So he drew the picture. That means, look, see, this is how I want you to do it. Sometimes things are so obvious to us, but not obvious to us. We don't actually realise that's an answer. We've been looking for the answer. Yeah. There it right is, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome, Cari. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's awesome.
Fantastic stuff. Kez, you got the next question, my darling.
Well, I was just going to say to Cari that my mother she believed in the rote way of life, which was everything in order, everything numbered. And when my father would arrive home from work, we weren't allowed to disturb him. He had his dinner first on his own. We all had our dinner. Sunday was family dinner, but when Dad would come home from work quite late, us children would be in the lounge doing homework, and Dad would have his dinner on his own. And when he'd taken a breath, he could stop and listen to us as children. Yes. And I've always remembered that and tried to bring it into my own life as well. Awesome. I'm an empty nester now because my kids are, my baby's in her 40s, but it's like I've taught them something at least, that they let the peace sit there. The men come home, and it's not our leadership thing. It's nothing. It's just giving them that moment to collect. So my daughter comes home and she will actually, one of them will be cooking because they both work shift. One of them will be cooking and they give that person a hot drink and they go into the lounge, have the drink, and it's time to regain a home life, I guess, because once we leave the home, we become other people. We become a teacher, a librarian, a driver, whatever. Or if we work from home, we go into an office and I become a mentor and a writer. And to come into my office, my husband actually knocks for entrance because he knows I'm always busy. So when I leave the room, I know that it's our time together when I leave that room. So just watching the old as the wise woman, watching them has really taught me some lessons, actually.
No doubt about it. Yeah, it works every time.
It does. It does. Just taking that time out.
It really does. And, I remember hearing a story from years and years ago about a woman, like a family. She had 9 kids and the husband obviously was at work and the kids were all sort of, the school age, but they weren't very, they were very poor. So it's all happening, obviously, and little house. So her method was she had this favourite scarf. So she had this scarf and she said, now, every time I go into that corner, I put this scarf on my face. You don't come near me. When I'm ready, I will lift up that scarf. But until I do, you need to go and play on your own, do your own thing. You're not to disturb me. This is my time. Wow. And she taught them. And I know that would have been an amazing lesson for those children growing up, what to do, because so often we think, I haven't got time. But it only has to be a couple of minutes in your sanctuary to just breathe. That's all you need to do, is just breathe, just for a minute, couple of breaths, and you can just come back into ground, just come back into love, into source, into being. And then from there, you can feel this strengthening and encouraging energy that starts rising up from within you to move. All of a sudden you feel like moving. You're not making yourself, you feel like moving. So then you move.
Yeah.
And then you're ready to do whatever you've got to do next. And I just love that about that lady. Just, that's what she needed.
Yeah.
I'm glad
How
she
brave.
Yeah, totally.
So when you've listened to your clients and you see the change, do you notify them? Do you say, there's a change happening, this is what's going on, I see it? Do you recognize it? Does that come into it as well? Do you ask them to recognize it?
Totally. Before and after sessions as well. Like, did you notice anything? Like, if I've got a recurring one happening, have you noticed any change since the last time we spoke? And then at the end of the session, what have you noticed from this? I'll get them to feed back to me what they've learnt or what was a revelation in that moment, for this session. Those things I'm always looking for, because I know as soon as I've said out their mouth, it's done. Job's done. I'm just so grateful because, love has done what it's meant to do because I heard it. Yeah.
So I find that the world's always evolving. So 1 minute, like with this pandemic going on, again, we're going to have to evolve into a different sort of listening. I find most people are asking for help, but they don't say it.
No.
So they ask for it in different ways.
They do.
And they're asking for relief. And they ask for it in different, and there's so many types of relief they're asking for, and it's a personal thing. So I find that it is. I just find that I really have to listen to what they're saying to find out what they want to do. So I mentor in the art, and I mentor in the as a writer, but I try and combine the both.
Yes.
And that's when they have to really listen, because I can only do it on Zoom.
Yes.
So when I'm coaching someone in Melbourne, I really have to make sure that my words are concise with what I want them to think, how the actions I want them to take. Is that what you find?
Yes, definitely. And yes, like the simple thing even as well is on the phone, like there's so many different ways you can contact people, whether it's text or Messenger or WhatsApp or email.
Like us yesterday.
Yeah, just trying to find which one's actually going to work and which one's actually going to connect, and they're going to pick it up and see it. That's almost been probably one of the most challenging things I've found, is to, until you actually find it, because sometimes they go, just text me, but they never respond. You go, okay, but that's what they said, so obviously it's got to be a different thing. And so to find that out, then you're on, then it's fine, it's all good after that. So it's the same thing, even in person, and whether it's by Zoom or whatever, it is about hearing what they're wanting to say, but also getting them to write down exactly what you're saying and writing it in the way they need to, so they know, so they can see it for themselves in their own writing. That often helps as well. So that's what I found anyway.
This is really fascinating. It really is. It just fascinates me the way we do evolve as people, and the new questions we're now asking. The kids, teenagers, aren't as naive as what we were. I will say that. Right. So exactly. Some of the questions that they ask when I'm mentoring the young ones, I think, you're too young to be asking questions like that. I learned that when I was in my 40s. What are you asking me that for? And it will be to do with work. But right. I mentored 2 children in writing, and the adultness is, I don't know if that's a word, but the adultness just makes me sit still and think, my goodness, what you've had to learn, and you've had to grow up with this. And it's nothing nasty or untoward towards them. It's this is the way they're learning these days. I have to listen. It's a whole new way.
It really is. And they do have a way more information at their fingertips than what we did as well. So, of course, they're going to evolve probably a lot quicker than we did, and feed it back.
I still like that naivety. I like the innocence, and totally. I don't find that a lot.
No,
I don't find that a lot anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mr. Google's too handy.
It very is. Very handy.
Yeah.
I want to backtrack just a little bit, back to that concept of growing up in that Christian environment, because for a lot of us in our age group, that's kind of typical of our upbringing, that Christian home where the man was the head of the home, where women didn't have a lot of rights. And it fascinated me that our journeys were so similar in that, principally we thought we got married, we had kids, and we did that at a young age. So I too was quite young when I got married and had kids and all the rest of it. Yes. And it took a long time to reprogram my brain to think that I, as a woman, was the driver of my own destiny. Yes. That I had a right to make my own decisions, that I was an independent person, and that I didn't need a man. And I'm not being derogatory to men. I do believe that men in this current world and climate have a pretty darn difficult time, because I actually believe that the amount of women and the amount of feminine energy that is rising across the planet is intended to heal humanity and bring back the balance. Absolutely. It's skewed towards masculinity. But my question is, and for the listeners to dig into your personal journey, that's quite a mind shift and a change in thinking and a deprogramming, if you will. Yes. Those Christian perspectives that don't assist women to be empowered as a woman. Did you find that too? Like, I find even now that there's things that come up in my mind and I go, actually, that's not true. Actually, you can make your own decisions. You can do this. And that's not disempowering men. That's just about living life as a woman. So did you find that, CARI?
Yes, totally. And like you, I still get those things popping up and going, And the thing that I've probably noticed the most is we actually need masculine and feminine to be equal. Yes, to do that.
I agree.
There's been a real push, masculine energy, and now we're sort of a bit saturated in it. So now we've got to push back a little bit more so that we can find that beautiful harmony, so that we're all balanced. Yes. And so, I'm grateful for those men like my beautiful Rodney, who he seems to have a really good balance of both. And so the support is there, and there's a lot of men out there that are like that. So thankfully they're able to be there to support us as we rise to be who we are. And the other thing I've realised as well with that is that even if they may be a little perturbed about us being a bit strong as women,
yes,
they actually love it. They love it when we know what we're doing. They love it when we can make decisions. They love it when we've got a bit of leadership. No, we're not doing that. Oh, okay, we know where I stand, it's all good. And so some of those aspects, sometimes we don't speak up, which was part of my upbringing as well, in that not speaking up. And when we don't speak up, then they just do their thing, because they're going, oh, well, she's not going to say anything. I might as well just do this then. That can lead on to many areas in your life, which can completely disempower you and take away your identity as a person, as a woman, and your role that you have to share in this world. And that's the thing that I've noticed, being able to speak confidently because of the inner work that I've done and the healing that I've done for myself. I'm now listening to who I am, and like you just said before, no, that's not the truth. So that's not the truth for me. It's not resonating inside. Yeah. I'm getting a lot of conflict going on inside. So no, I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to move forward with that brings me joy, brings me peace.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when it comes to the men and any teachings that you're hearing, like the Christian teaching, there is room for all of it here. There is a balanced reason why it's here in the earth.
Yes.
However, it has gone a little bit overboard towards the patriarchal and masculine energy area.
Absolutely.
And particularly like when this Christian group that I was amongst, they ended up being a Christian cult, which they didn't start off that way. It ended up that way. And so that's however my next book. And
and awesome.
Yeah, so with that one, because you're already sort of vulnerable, so then you're not speaking up. So then it's very easy for the power to just keep taking over. But the particular Bible that we were all encouraged to have and use was written by a person who was very patriarchal and totally against remarriage, and said that, basically it was not God's will to be remarried. So that's why I wrote that in the book, that the belief systems were not working with me, and I was battling. I worked with it for 10 years. Rodney and I were purely platonic for 10 years by ourselves, just loving each other, and thought, if this is the way it is for the rest of our lives because God doesn't like remarriage, then so be it, we'll do this. But I was getting so confused and torn, and almost to a basket case where I was nearly ready for our local asylum, because I just could not get it together, and realised it was because I was not living my truth. I was hearing it, but all the other stuff was conflicting, and I needed to just let all that go and then come back in and hear what I was meant to hear for me. And Rodney kept saying it to me, kept saying, that's not true. Yeah, no, that's not true. I'm going, really? No, because I believe in the good in everyone.
Yeah.
It just got out of whack.
It's tough. It's tough, Carrie, some of those fundamental Christian beliefs, they're tough when you've been raised in that environment. They're tough to tackle and take on. They're tough to get those scripts out of your brain. And one of the other ones was around listening to your intuition and your gut, and listening to it in a wholehearted way versus comparing it to, say, what the Bible says. And I'm not meaning to disparage the Bible, but women have strong intuition. We are gifted with it. We are born with it, and we need to listen to it. And that's the whole concept of our show, is about that listening. So not just listening to others, but listening to yourself and listening to that quiet, intuitive voice within you, which is often stronger in women, but it's also present in men, isn't it, Carrie?
It totally is. And Rodney hears it, but he hears it in a different way. It might come through as a vision or a dream, or this innate. I remember when we had to leave the cult, and I just said to him, at what point do we know today's the day, we're out of here? And this was at 6. We used to ring at 6 o'clock every morning before we went to work, just to set ourselves up for the day. And he goes, today's the day. And he had this fire, this anger, is like, holy cow, I would not want to be on the other side of that right now. And he's going, right, set up the appointment, we're sorting this today. Okay, we're doing this. He got it. I had not felt, I didn't feel any of that. I just had the question, at what point do we know? And he had the fire, the emotion that just went, okay, we're good to go. Let's do this. So, amazing.
I think
was that the start? Was that sorry, Kez? Was that the start of better for you and Rodney? Was that the start
totally.
of okay.
It was the start of the direction we were meant to be going,
Meant to.
and the truth of who we are and the truth of our journey and why we had been placed together.
Yep. Sorry, Kez, go on.
That's all right. I was brought up in a very religious family, and again, Dad ruled the roof, or the roost. But I now, as an older person, a wiser woman, I was given a book called The Red Tent. I don't know if you've ever read it. Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. The story of Ruth.
Yes.
What a strong, and she followed the Bible to the absolute rule. Well, she followed the testaments to the absolute rule, but she was wise enough as a woman to listen to and to develop her own unique way of becoming the matriarch in the Red Tent. And that's where they call it the Red Tent, because that's where all women went once a month. But they found that once they went there, life was so different. They had 7 days of complete freedom of bathing, talking, eating, doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? And so I honestly think, if you join a church, that book should be a freebie. It should be given to you as well, along with the Holy Scriptures. There's the other version. There's the patriarch and the matriarch, because you've got to face it. We have to live together.
Yeah, we do.
In this world, we do. And we need more and more to listen to each other. I mean, I just feel sorry for some of the politicians that the public drags their wives into it. Nobody's listening to their story. Nobody's actually listening. And then you've got to, as you do and you teach, you read the body and you think, that's the very unhappy situation there. And I think as you get older, you learn to do these things, but it's training the eye and the ear.
Yes, absolutely. And, one couple that I've just really loved is Michelle and Obama, like Michelle Obama.
Oh, yes.
I love how they love each other in the limelight and everything, but she's just been this strong woman, and he's not pushed. There's complete honor, blessing and honor and love emanating from the both of them towards each other and to what they want to do. And I just bless them. They're just such beautiful people. And I know there's many across, but they were the ones that just came up just then. Just how it's inspiring that we can live together. We were created to, seriously. We were meant to live together. We were meant to work together. We were meant to love together and heal together and heal everyone else together, everything else, take care of everything. So, the principles of the Bible, of the word, tells you that those principles are still all true. It's just been along the way. So, which has happened with great
other people's words inserted.
Exactly. And
been like a ghostwriter.
And when it comes to intuition and guidance, it is about always coming back to that breathing moment in all humility and complete surrender.
Yes, I agree.
This is what I want to share, and I want to do this with all the love and compassion that I have for myself, for love, for humanity, for every living being. Show me what to do. Show me what to say. Just move through me freely, and just surrendering ourselves. If every person on the earth actually did that right now, even, wow, who knows what would transform? It would be amazing.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. So, CARI, we're both going to ask you the same question, I think.
You go, Kez.
Okay.
You go, Kez.
If I had the opportunity to talk to a younger CARI, what would she say about all of this? Would she be still naive, or would she be on her road?
She would be on her road by now. She would have been, in a sense, because she'd have realised that she was allowed to speak. However, all our learnings, all the hindsight and everything, all our learnings, I am who I am because of the things that I've been through. The bullying all through my lifetime, school and all that, and then, getting into a cold, whatever, all the things have made me to know who I am now But, you know, when you think about it, if I knew this at 13, that one of the 13-year-olds I'm mentoring at the moment, the stuff I'm teaching her now, I could hear from the moment we begin our conversation to the end of that conversation in one session, how much confidence she's gained and the things that she's fed back to me. And I'm thinking, oh, if only I had this clear, non-judgmental, balanced, feminine, masculine sharing and mentorship. If I'd had that then, who knows where I'd be right now, but I'm so grateful to be in front of you and alongside of you two beautiful, amazing, strong women, because I know that we are here for this time, this moment in time. We've got things to do, we've got things to say, we've got people to speak with, and that the different people across the earth will resonate with each one of our voices and each one of our messages. And I'm grateful that we can collaborate together and move forward and heal this earth, heal each other and heal this earth.
I think we start with ourselves.
We start with ourselves. The other thing I was going to say, CARI, in that important work that you do around the art of listening and encouraging people to listen, is that part of that encompasses listening to people's stories. And we see across the planet at the moment more people, children, women, having the courage to talk about things that have happened to them. So we see in Australia the abuse scandals, the sexual assault scandals. Part of your work, I absolutely believe in teaching people to listen, is about listening to tough stories, validating what that person is saying in that moment. This happened to me. It's about listening without judgment. It's about listening and making sure they are heard, making sure their story is heard. And that will change the world. No more can we have a world going forward where we don't listen when a child speaks up, where we don't listen when a woman speaks up. It's no longer about not listening or blaming or victim blaming or whatever else we do. We need to start listening. And CARI, I'm so delighted that this is going to be your legacy in your teaching, coaching, and mentoring on people how to listen, because not only do individuals need to listen, but higher level across all levels of government. When someone comes to you with a story, you need to listen from an open heart and an open perspective, and then do what needs to be done. But the first point, of course, is listening, isn't it?
It really is. And when you listen, you can actually embrace all the dark, all the hard, embrace physically when we're allowed to, but embrace in yourself all of that pain, embracing it, not trying to resist it, not trying to get rid of it, not trying to clear it. Embracing it, because it gave you a lesson, it gave you a message, it gave you a teaching and a learning to move forward and to be the best version of who you are. And we need it all. We weren't created necessarily to have to learn it this way, but this is how we do it, so this is what we do. Moving forward.
Oh, lovely ladies. We are just about out of time. Kez, thank you once again for co-hosting a conversation with Kez. CARI, thank you so much for listeners today. Don't forget to jump on. CARI, can you quickly tell us where's the best place that they can find your book? For those who are listening whilst driving, the information will be on the website and attached to any of these shows on the platform. But CARI, where's the best place to connect with you, number one, and buy the book, number two?
Okay, so my website is www.listeningislove.com.au. So you can find me and my book there. My book will be launched by the end of the month, so it's not actually quite available until the end of the month. But it Amazon, will be. Barnes and Noble, Booktopia, you'll be able to buy on all those spaces, and of course from my website. listeningislove.com.
Fantastic.
Thank you so,
Carrie,
so
thank you
much,
so
both
much.
of you. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. It's been a real blessing to
Oh,
talk to
it's been wonderful hosting you. It really has.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time this morning at such short notice. Carrie, Kez, it's beautiful to have you on the show again today. Listeners, we will be back next week with another Conversation with Kez, our show for authors across the world. Carrie Schuster, wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you so much. And